Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and you're welcome to another IELTS clinic. Hi guys, so you're welcome again to another episode of IELTS clinic, and in this particular episode we'll be looking at the form completion question type in the IELTS listening test. The form completion question type in the IELTS listening test mostly comes in the first section, the easiest actually. So I'm taking my time to film this video about form completion separately because it's actually one of the easiest that you can get. Yeah, it appears easy, but you need some tips. You need to be aware of some things about form completion when it comes to IELTS listening test, and that is question that you shouldn't miss. I said it in a previous video that the first section that you should aim at having 10 over 10, 10 out of 10. Yes, it's actually the easiest. So I'll be giving us some tips, some strategies, some things that you need to consider that will help you to do well when it comes to form completion in the IELTS listening test. So generally, one thing that IELTS want to test during the form completion question type is your ability to summarize and paraphrase. Yeah, so they want to test your paraphrasing and your summarizing skill. I've said it earlier that paraphrasing skill is something that you need for you to do well in your IELTS. And when you have paraphrasing, another key important thing is your ability to know synonyms. Yeah, you should know the synonyms of words because most times in the IELTS listening test, you don't get the exact words you listen to in the answer. So they paraphrase the questions and you won't hear the same exact words. So you need to be good at paraphrasing, and also you need to know your synonyms. Very, very important. And most times the form completion usually require maybe one or two answers, yeah, so one or two words. So you'll be given the instruction. So one important thing is that you should read your instruction very well, because if you don't follow your instruction, maybe you are required to write one word or just not more than two words, and you write three words, even if it's an article A, like I said in a previous video, you've gotten that question wrong. So you need to follow your instructions very well. So what that tells you is that you shouldn't listen for exact words. You will never get it. And the form completion question type usually involves information about maybe dates, venues, location, stuff like that. That is what they will be testing you for. And we'll be looking at some of the tips that you need. I've always said prediction is very, very important. You will be given some times to look at your questions, some numbers. So let's assume that you are now looking at the form completion. You'll be given a few seconds to look at the question number, maybe question 16 to 20 that involves the form completion question. They will give you like few seconds for you to go through that. So when you are doing that, it's good that you predict. Try and know, okay, what am I listening for? So you might see dates. Yeah, date, venue, stuff like that. So you know that you are listening for that, and that gives you a clue of what you should be listening or what you should be expecting in the audio. Another thing I would say about this type of question is numbers. You should try as much as possible to familiarize yourself with different numbers. And remember, accent varies. Different people, different accents. You will hear different accents in the IELTS listening test. So you should practice to actually listen to numbers like this in different accents so that you won't be taken aback during the proper test. When it comes to number, another thing that you should expect is telephone number. Yeah, so sometimes they will ask you to, complete a telephone number. So they will call it. Pay attention to that because most English native speakers, they prefer to call 0. They call it O instead of 0. So maybe let's say that a number, they want to call a number. What some people, depending on where you are from, might say 080. No, most times they use O. So what you hear is 080. Also, most times they put numbers together by using double or triple, depending on the case. So when it is something like 888, you can hear triple eight instead of 888, or when it's maybe just two eights, you hear double eight. So pay attention to that. They prefer to use O instead of zero, and they usually put numbers together by using double or triple. Another number that you can hear in the IELTS listening test is like credit card. Yeah, most times credit card is 16-digit number. Yeah, so just have that is a bonus 16-digit number. So depending on how many that they've already written in your question paper, you know the exact number that you should fill in. So it's usually 16, and then they can give you maybe 5, then you know that you have to fill in for 11. Take note of that. So moving on from numbers, another thing you should know is letters. Yes, so when it comes to letters, you should familiarize yourself with how different letters of English alphabet, how they sound. Familiarize yourself with that. One that I'll mention now is the letter R. Yeah, when like let me use my native language, my native accent or whatever. Back home, how we pronounce letter R is R, R, or some even say R. That's very funny, but here most times it's called R. So like R. So if you are not familiar with that, because most times when maybe a street name or a surname that is not very easy, when they maybe use a surname like Smith. Yeah, Smith is very, very popular. Who doesn't know Smith, or John, or Luke, or stuff like that? But there might be some names, street names or surnames that most people are unfamiliar with. When they use that, they will spell it for you. So listen, because when they are spelling it, it's just for you to write it down. So know how different letters of the alphabets are pronounced. Another thing to listen for is address. Yeah, very common in the IELTS listening test when it comes to the form completion. So you have address, so you should know the format that address comes in. Most times it's maybe street number or flat number or house number followed by the street name. Yeah, and then you can have the town, name of the town or name of the city. So for instance, you might have something like number 9 or 9 Western Road, Manchester, for instance. Then another thing that you can also listen for is postcode. So when they ask you for the postcode, not necessarily the whole address, and they ask you for postcode, most times postcode, they start and end with letters, 1 or 2 letters, then with numbers in between. For instance, you can have a postcode like M22 7DB, something like that. Make sure that when you ask for postcode, write both the letters and also the numbers. Yeah, so if it's M22 4RA, M22 4DB, whatever they mention, they make sure you write everything. That is a postcode. So this is giving you a clue in case maybe you are not familiar with postcode. How postcodes come is that they start and end with letters and then they have numbers. It can just be, it might not be M22, it can be M4 or R4, depending whatever, but it usually comes with start and ends with alphabets, that is the letters, and then have numbers in between. Another thing that you might be asked during the form completion is dates. So get yourself familiar with days of the week. Know how to spell them. Don't be too sure, especially maybe the most difficult one, Wednesday. Know how to spell it. Is it double S? Is it single S? Make sure you are very sure of that. Also, the same applies to months of the year. You know the most difficult, February, depending on however you call it, you should know how to spell them. And when we're talking about all these, remember your proper nouns. I've given a tip about IELTS listening test, and the same thing applies to reading. The best way to avoid issue of proper nouns or making that mistake, whether by error, not that you don't know that this is a proper noun, your answers can be written in capital letters, and I advise that write your answers in capital letters. When you do that, you don't need to be worried about, oh, should I start this with capital letter? Is this a proper noun? Maybe because you are just writing and it skips your mind that you should start a day, like days of the week with capital letter or months of the year with capital letter. So write your answers. I will advise, it's acceptable. Yes, write your answers in capital letters. And I think I remember something now about, since I'm already talking about maybe weekdays or months of the year, know that sometimes, that's why I said earlier about, I talked earlier about synonyms, right? So you should know that maybe when they talk about weekends are Saturdays and Sundays, right? These are common synonyms that you should know, because sometimes you won't hear the exact words that is in the audio. You won't see them in the question. When you talk about fortnight, that is 2 weeks. So get used to all those stuff. So maybe they say, oh, we do that fortnightly, that means it's 2 weeks. So maybe you can get a question like, when do James and John go to the beach? And maybe they will say, oh, we go there over the weekends and this and that. They said weekends, right? And the question is asking you, when do they go there? Of course, weekends, yes, can be your answer. Or maybe if the question is even asking for days of what days do they go? And you heard weekends. Of course, weekends are Saturdays and Sundays. That's your answer. So guys, that is it about the form completion. I'll try in my next video to see as much as I can go to complete all the question types that you can see during the IELTS listening test. And in this IELTS clinic, we'll move on to reading. Yay! We're moving on with reading. So maybe one more video to be expected when it comes to listening. And after that video, if you still have questions about the listening test, feel free to leave it in the comment section. So I'll consider maybe if I should film a video. But I think maybe I'll still need to film a separate video because there is something I want to address. There are some things that I just need to touch on, especially when it comes to maybe stuff like when you are given an instruction, not more than a word and or a number, stuff like that. I think sometimes people mix it up. So I'll take my time to explain what stuff like that mean in case it's confusing you, all right? So guys, we've come to the end of the video, of course. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please, I'll encourage you, I'll plead with you, subscribe to my channel, hit that red subscribe button now, and also like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, let me know your views. If you have any question, feel free, you can contact me via email. You can also reach me on Instagram. I'll leave everything in the description box. And if you've not seen the previous videos on this series, go ahead. I'll leave their links, all of them in the description box. And I'll see you in my next video. Till then, stay blessed, remain intentional, and take care of yourself. Bye.